Good evening. Thanks for joining us at Awaz News. I'm Kubrali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada. Off-duty cop stabbed after trying to prevent theft at Scarborough Best Buy, police say. Ontario names former General Motors executive as new representative in Washington. Moviegoers evacuated from Vaughan Cinema after suspects sprayed unknown substance in theatre. Tories threaten to delay rise of House of Commons if Liberals don't revise carbon pricing plan. Bank of Canada holds its key interest rate steady at 5% in final decision of 2023. Oil and gas emissions cap coming Thursday targets 2026 start date. 2 more arrests made in relation to over 30 break-and-enters, police. Those were the headlines, and now let's jump through the details. 2 more suspects wanted in connection with a string of break-and-enters across the GTA have been arrested, according to police. Police said that search warrants were issued at the suspects' homes last month and that officers discovered numerous items stolen from break-and-enters at the time. Arrest warrants were subsequently issued for 4 suspects. One of the wanted parties, 36-year-old Paul Nikrima, was arrested by police on November 30th. 2 additional suspects were taken into custody on December 4th. They have been identified as Mississauga residents Jordan Sakuchi, 33, and Dumark Lindsay, 44. Police said that Sakuchi and Lindsay have been charged with 68 break-and-enter related offences. The final suspect is still wanted and has been identified by police as 37-year-old Marcel Blackburn and of Hagerswell. About 200 people were forced to evacuate a movie theatre in Vaughan on Tuesday night after 2 suspects sprayed an unknown substance in the cinema during a screening. York Regional Police say the incident occurred at around 9:20 p.m. at the Cineplex near Highway 7 and Highway 400 in Vaughan. According to police, moviegoers watching an Indian Hindi language film began coughing after an unknown substance was sprayed inside the theatre by 2 suspects. 2 male suspects wearing masks and hoods had attended the cinema, entered the theatre after the movie began, and then walked around and sprayed an unknown aerosol-based irritating substance in the air, police said in a news release issued Wednesday. Emergency crews arrived and evacuated the theatre. Several patrons were treated at the scene, but no serious injuries were reported, police said. The suspects fled prior to the arrival of officers. The first suspect has been described by police as a black male with medium build and is approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall. He was seen wearing a black sweater, a black jacket with a white logo on the front right side, dark pants with a white stripe, and a black toque with a white logo on the front. The second suspect, police said, is believed to be male with brown skin, a medium build, and is approximately 5 feet 8 inches tall. He was seen wearing a black sweater with a red logo above, white text on the front, dark pants, and brown boots. Both suspects were wearing black masks at the time of the incident, police said. Similar incidents reported in Toronto and Brampton. York Regional Police investigators are aware that there were 2 similar incidents at other movie theatres that same evening, with one in Brampton and one in Toronto. Our investigators are liaising with our neighbouring police partners about those incidents, the news release continued. Police could not confirm what films were playing in the other theatres in Brampton and Toronto. Police said there were numerous witnesses present during the incident and are asking anyone who has not yet spoken to police to reach out to officers with the York Regional Police No. 4 District Criminal Investigations Bureau. In a statement, Cineplex said it is working closely with local authorities who are investigating the incident. The Bank of Canada once again held its key interest rate steady at 5% Wednesday, encouraged by evidence that higher rates are helping bring inflation down. The combination of weaker growth and a cooling job market suggests demand is no longer outpacing supply in the economy, the central bank added. This slowdown, the Bank of Canada has argued, is necessary to restore price stability. The decision Wednesday marked the 3rd consecutive time the Bank of Canada has opted to keep its key rate unchanged, as forecasters widely expect the Bank of Canada's next move will be rate cut. However, the Bank of Canada is not ruling out future rate hikes just yet. The central bank will have to switch to cutting interest rates soon enough, TD Director of Economics James Orlando said, as the unemployment rate continues to rise and spending in the economy takes a hit. But for now, it makes sense for the central bank to keep its guard. Weighed down by higher borrowing costs, the Canadian economy has struggled to consistently grow this year. The most recent GDP report showed the economy contracted by 1.1% on an annualized basis in the third quarter. Meanwhile, inflation has eased considerably over the last year, reaching 3.1% in October. The Bank of Canada projected in October that inflation will fall back to the 2% target in 2025. RBC economist Claire Fan says the central bank's decision to hold its key rate steady was hardly a surprise, but what caught her attention was the central bank's softer tone on Wednesday. RBC expects the Bank of Canada to start cutting rates in the second half of next year, a more cautious projection than financial markets. Ontario has named a former General Motors executive as its new representative in Washington, D.C. David Patterson has also worked as an executive at BlackBerry and Manulife Financial, as well as Director of Canadian American Business Council and Chair of Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Economic Development Minister Vic Fedeli says Patterson brings extensive experience and an impressive background to the role in which he will promote Ontario businesses, including in the electric vehicle and battery manufacturing sector. The $350,000 a year job was previously held by Ian Todd, a campaign advisor to Premier Doug Ford. The government notes that it operates a trade network in key United States cities, including agents general in Chicago and Dallas, and trade and investment offices in San Francisco and New York. The agents general positions had been source of controversy for the Ford government in its first item, with the Premier having to revoke the London and New York appointments after it emerged that one was related to Ford's then Chief of Staff, Dean French, and the other played lacrosse with French's son. An off-duty Toronto police officer was stabbed after he attempted to stop three suspects involved in a theft from an electronics store in Scarborough on Wednesday morning. The incident happened at a Best Buy on Progress Avenue near McCowan Road at around 11:45 a.m. Police said the suspects were attempting to take items from the store when the officers intervened. The officer was then stabbed by one of the suspects just outside the main entrance to store, police say. The suspects proceeded to flee the scene and were last seen headed westbound along Highway 401 in a grey Toyota Sienna minivan. The officer was stabbed in the wrist. Fortunately, paramedics responded very quickly and were able to apply a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. The officer is currently in stable condition but is going to require surgery at a later time, Inspector Chris McCann told reporters at the scene. This was an off-duty police officer, and I can only imagine that he felt compelled to assist when he saw what was happening, but the message, which is really important to the general public, is their safety is paramount, so please don't get involved. McCann said that it is not clear at this point if the suspects were successful in getting away with any stolen goods. He said that police are continuing to investigate and are interested in speaking with anyone who may have witnessed what transpired or who are in possession of any dash camera footage. Police have released limited descriptions of the three suspects. The first suspect is described as male, about 6 feet tall with medium build. He was last seen wearing black pants and boots. The second suspect is described as a male wearing a black mask, blue jeans, and a black hoodie. The third suspect is described as a female with long dark hair. She was last seen wearing grey cargo pants and a camo jacket. The official opposition is threatening to delay government work and hold up billions of dollars in spending if the Liberal government doesn't drastically revise its carbon pricing plan. The Conservatives are delivering a taste of their plan with the introduction of as many as 20,000 amendments to an 11-page government bill that aims to create sustainable jobs as part of the transition to a net zero emissions economy. The Natural Resources Committee is set to go through the amendments, which the Tories believe could take months to vote on individually. The opposition wants the federal carbon pricing plan removed from all home heating for families, farmers, and First Nations. The Tories are also eyeing amendments that could delay passage of legislation to implement measures in the government's fall economic statement. The $20.8 billion in new spending over 5 years includes initiatives to boost the housing supply through rental units and affordable homes. Canada is poised to outline a federal emissions cap on the oil and gas sector using a cap and trade system that would begin as early as 2026, says a federal government source. The source, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss matters not yet made public, tells the Canadian press that a framework for the cap will be published Thursday. The target will not be as strict as the emissions cap estimated last year in the government's emissions reduction plan. The plan suggested the oil and gas industry needs to cut emissions to 110 million tons by 2030 from more than 200 million tons in 2019. Oil sands companies say it would take them at least another 5 years beyond 2030 to get close to that. Draft regulations are now expected by mid-next year, and the final regulations in early 2025, with some flexibility to allow companies to meet their targets using offset credits or paying into a decarbonization fund. This was all from us today. I'm Kubra Ali, and I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.